Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. Coming to you live here from Gen Con 2018, bringing you board game coverage all weekend long. First up, though, who are we? I'm Matt with Twist Gaming, and I'm joined here with Breeze from Zephyr Workshop. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. First day of Gen Con for exhibitors.
I, the stress is just beginning, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're
This began 2 weeks ago.
preparing for the horde of people to come in and kick down the door to your booth and say, "Let me see all the stuff." Right?
Oh, that's the hope. That's hopefully not the opposite happens, then or nobody comes.
I like what's on the table, though. So I mean, it's got some good table presence right now. What have you brought to show off to us today?
Okay, so this is AEGIS, the combining robot strategy game. It is the
Wait,
world's.
combining robots.
It is a combining robot game, the only combining robot game still. And yeah, it's basically Pokemon meets Voltron, and it is made to be a light,
So,
fast
where do I get
tactics
my
game.
copy?
Yeah, you get your copy of 3060, man. It's very easy to find, right up there in the top corner of the map.
Very good. So, explain to me what combining robots means.
Philosophically,
Yes, philosophically.
it, well, let's see. What is a combining robot? A miserable pile of colors, technicolors, and special effects.
With lots of green, right?
Lots of green. Okay, so there's all right. So get this. So the game's called Aegis, right? There's 5 different kinds of robot in the game: assault, evasive, guard, intel, and support. And it spells Aegis.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right.
And they're coordinated with those colors, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Oh,
So yeah, assault guys are red and they attack, and evasive guys are blue and they evade, etc., etc. And so you make a team of 5 robots, and you play against your opponent's team of 5 robots. It is a little tactical skirmish game. You play it on a grid, a little hex grid, and you can, in the middle of battle, take your robots and put them together. And so you take an A robot and an E robot, and you put them together to make an AE robot. And then he can assault and he can evade. So yeah, it's all about build. Like, all of the game is choosing cool robots to make cool synergies with in terms of like team composition and what stuff that they can become. Because there are 100 robots in this box that you can choose to build your teams out of. We chose to go the content route in terms of game design. So you get this game and you get a lot, a lot of content to play around
that's
with.
a lot of combinations, too. So there's 100 robots in the box. I'm assuming that's 20 of each type of robot.
Ish. So you got like you got single letter robots and you have the robots that are multiple letters.
Okay.
And so there's like 50 or 60 single letter robots in the box, and then every robot is actually unique, and they all have a little card that represents them. You can see them kind of dotted around the board here.
So if I could actually show one of those off
Yeah.
up close.
Ooh, neat.
So
It's picking up the
invisible-
green.
Yeah, the
Oh, that's
invisible
great.
green on the top right there. So explain to me a little bit what's on the card here. What information are we seeing?
So basically, once you know how to read the card, that's the entire game. Then it's all about making proper tactical decisions. Every robot can move so many spaces. It has so much health, and the main mechanic of the game is that your robots share energy with each other.
Okay.
So you take you put 5 guys on your team. The dots on the top right corner, the invisible dots that are actually bright green in real life, you add those up at the start of every turn, and that's how many action points you have.
Okay.
And every space you move costs a point, and every dice you roll costs a point. So your robots all pull together their stuff, and depending on what guys you use, it turns out how much stuff you can do.
Gotcha. And your actions are basically shared from a pool then, so if you want to move a ton, you can do that. If you want to roll a bunch of dice,
You usually don't have enough energy to do everything with everybody every turn. And then every robot has like 1 or 2 attacks that they do, and it's a dice rolling game. So every dice you roll is energy points. So you have a big green 3, it means you roll 3 dice. You're looking for like 2s or above, and you would punch a dude for 2 damage and has a range value of like so many hexes away. So it's very straightforward in terms of combat. And then you just have lots of different types of abilities that will do things: attacks, heals, robots that push and pull other robots around the board, push them off the board to destroy them. A lot of cool gimmicky stuff.
So this is an
yeah.
example of an assault robot
Yeah.
here. We've also got the evasion robot.
Yep. So yeah, each type of robot has kind of a different art direction and different like set of abilities. Like all the E robots kind of fall under this umbrella of they look like flying drones and they all move a lot and they all are a little bit more energy hungry in terms of what they want.
Gotcha. I could
Whereas
kind of see that in like almost you have the martial arts games where you have the evasion-based things be all
yeah,
wind and stuff like that, where assault would be fire and
yep.
kind of more aggressive. So I see that it's taking a lot of notes from that same vein and keeping the familiarities there.
Yeah, so even if you don't know exactly what your opponent does, you can say, "Oh, look, they have a blue robot. That means they probably move a lot, and probably they're hard to hit."
Whereas conversely, green that's an invisible.
This is gonna be great.
It's green, I promise.
So yeah, green guard guys, green robots. They're tanky. They have a lot of HP. They'll do stuff like increase defense and increase defense of other robots. Hard to kill. Got purple robots, intel. They stop your opponents from doing stuff. They, move them around, stun them, disarm them.
Nope bots.
Yeah, nope.
Gotcha. And then we have the S bots, which
And then,
are
yep,
little green screen too.
Yep. Yeah, support robots keep the rest of your team going. They'll have like super long range attacks. They'll usually give more energy than they take. And they have heals and buffs and positive things. So every robot is very siloed in what they do, and then when you combine them together, that's when you get more versatility.
So this is an example of a combination. This is an AS robot.
So yeah, you have two robots on the board, an A and an S, and they're next to each other. You put them together, and you get this guy, and now he has a top attack that does damage and a bottom attack that increases accuracy for everybody around him.
Oh, so it gives you kind of a choice of what you're going to do. Makes them more versatile too when you
Yeah.
combine them.
And
then how much does this expansion go? Because I see an AIS robot here.
Absolutely. So yeah, now your 3-letter and higher robots all have three. Most of them have like 3 attacks. They're powerful. They're cool. They get a little bit more Gundam looking as opposed to more Pokemon looking with the smaller ones.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you can actually put all 5 robots together.
Really?
So we have 4-letter robots and 5-letter robots in the game.
I'd imagine that's fairly difficult to do.
It's some of them have more stringent requirements to make them than others, but other than that, like the game's pretty freeform, and yeah, combining is pretty easy overall. You just have to have guys adjacent to each other. You pay some energy, and then every robot that you combine into has some sort of explosive ability that'll trigger when you combine, and they'll always come in with full health. So exactly, since you start with your 5 guys, you never get more than 5 guys. Combining is your way to change your strategy in the middle of battle, and knowing when and where to combine is like this really cool tactical thing. So actually,
can you do the converse? Can you decouple?
you cannot decouple. Once you do stuff, it is a commitment, and that's what keeps the game moving snappy fast. Because
Gotcha.
2-player games like 30 minutes or less.
Oh, nice.
So we wanted to take like a War Machine or a BattleTech and like boil it down.
Slim it down so it's not this massive hours-long commitment.
Yeah. So you get like all that cool tactical decision making, and without the the $500 buy-in, without the 3-hour game time, without the textbook.
So you said support's down to 2 players. What does it go up to in terms of player count?
So right out of the box, you have a board. It has 2 sides, 2-player and 4-player,
Okay.
and different art on both sides. The other side's a nice little green field. And then we have the game can actually go up to 6-player, where we have a gigantic mouse pad, neoprene mat that you can play 6-player and also 3-player on, or 4-player, 5-player, whatever. So yeah, it goes up to 6 players right now, and the boards are also modular, where you have all these little terrain pieces that you can customize the board with.
So it kind of keeps it fresh as you're playing as well.
The game will be fresh every single time you play it.
So I know that you said that you're kind of choosing your team of robots, and that's what you have for the entire game. What's the methodology for choosing that team? Is it just predetermined beforehand? Is it a draft style? Or...
So the game has a few different ways to do this. So when you open the box, right, you said you have 100 robots. In order to stop the game from hitting you in the face with like analysis paralysis, all the robots in the box are separated into 6 different decks. So like the first deck is like all these easy robots with we have 8 pre-constructed teams right out of the box that you can just play with. They're all centered around very obvious kind of different strategies. You have like the control-y team and the attack-y team and the moving team and the tanky team. Then after that, though, once you're really familiar with it, the later decks in the box introduce like the 4-letter guys, 5-letter guys, more cooler gimmicky robots that you can customize your own teams with. But there's also a draft mode.
Nice.
So yeah, they can be like predetermined. I want to theory craft out the wazoo and make a cool team, or there's just like there's a draft mode, and yeah.
Well, it's nice that you have the options to do whatever you want in the game in terms of if you want to take the more strategic approach of I want to build out the dream team, or if you want to pivot and do the draft strategy and do it that way.
And that's really cool because that kind of limits the setup time too. If you have a bunch of people who already kind of know how to play, then you just whip out the draft, you shuffle up the robots, and you just like do the drafty thing.
So what's your favorite aspect of this game?
I like that it's still the only combining robot game. We've been working on it for like 5 years. We've actually released it once back in 2014. Then we were working on it for a few years with Greenbrier Games, and then we went back to self-publishing and to get what you see before you. So we built it like 4 times. So my favorite part of the game is that it's out. Well, one of the things that we really tried hard on was we tried to build our own original aesthetic and our own original theme and our own original characters. And I think we did that really well, because that's always been something very important to me as someone who comes a lot from video games. I wanted a robot game that doesn't look exactly like
Every other
robot game. Don't want it to look like BattleTech, but also don't want it to look like we just like reskinned like a popular anime or something.
Right.
So we got like I am the art director and I actually did a lot of the art.
Oh, nice.
So I tried to like make a really solid style guide, and with it's cool.
Gotta really aid things though, where you can basically get your own vision out of your head and onto the paper.
Yes.
And know the direction that you want to go and incorporate that.
Yeah, it's a blessing being a designer and an artist. I know that's seemingly pretty uncommon. So yeah, I did. It's good. It's the vision. This is the brainchild. it's brain to paper. So it's very exciting to see people react to it.
Very cool. So you're going to be demoing this here at Gen Con. You're going to be selling it as well?
Yes, we have a limited number of copies to sell. We only have 200 to sell, and then we have a bunch on us for backer fulfillment, because the majority of the games are still coming over the ocean, so they'll be fulfilled like next month-ish. But we have games to fulfill for backers and also games to sell. Here at Gen Con at booth 3060, and
so get there early to make sure you get your copy before they run out.
Absolutely. We have a few different deals going on. We have a coupon. The coupon book has a nice little map to our booth.
Come find us,
please. So if you get a free cool little thing with purchase, aka one of these little dice baggies.
Extra dice for the game.
So yeah, the game comes with custom dice. It has a whole bunch of little cool features. It has a really good plastic insert to keep all your stuff in line, which I tried very hard to design. And it also comes with plastic baggies in the box, because we love you. Who doesn't love plastic baggies? I think that's like the most important feature of the entire game.
Organizing your game properly.
Yeah, we just gave you the baggies. So yeah, come by, redeem your coupon, buy the game, get some cool free stuff. If you buy our game, you can go over to Giga Robo's booth right around the corner. Another robot tactical game that has to do with hexes, but they
not
have
combining robots.
Not combining robots. They have minis. that's the shtick. If you buy our game, you get 15% off their game. If you buy their game, you get 15% off our game. Giant, cool fighting anime robot games unite. Very tight knit. And then lastly, if anyone's participating in the Cheese Weasel Conquest scavenger hunt, we have another game at our booth that is specifically exclusive to you. It's a little worker placement game called Pigment that we also worked on, and it's a little $15 game. And if you buy Aegis and Pigment, you can get them both for $60.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if any of our viewers are maybe not at Gen Con and weren't one of your original backers, where can they find Aegis?
So they can. We still have pre-orders open. Probably not for very much longer. At robotstrategygame.com.
Okay.
It's the best URL. You can find our pledge manager there at robotstrategygame.com. I encourage everyone to check it out, and it'll be great.
Very cool. Is there anything about Aegis that maybe we didn't get a chance to touch on in this interview that you wanted to make sure that we took a look at?
So instead of miniatures, we opted for these standees. So every robot in the game has a card in a standee. And one of the cool things about standees as opposed to miniatures is that there's information on these. So you can tell us the robot's name, how far it can move, how much health it has. So you don't have to like look over the board to figure out what your opponent's doing. You can
Right.
look at
The card, the standee itself, rather
they're
than
also-
trying to look at their hand of
They're also
cards.
pretty. They're a pretty decent size. They slot into these little standy bases well without getting chewed up. That was a lot of production. Trying to get everything perfect. I think that's a cool aspect where you just get. I like standees personally. Dead of Winter is very cool. And other than that,
I think you got a message off to the side there.
everyone should also. I mean, I already mentioned Pigment. Come to our booth and buy Copper Frog Games' Pigment. Because Copper Frog Games is sending me messages off screen to plug Pigment, which is actually higher on the anticipation list on Board Game Geek than our game, somehow. But it's a cool little game. It's actually very unexpected. They're ranked like 250 out of 7,000 or however many games are premiering at Gen Con this year.
So many games.
This is the most important one, though. Also
you go.
Pigment. But this one.
Thank you so much for joining us.
No,
today.
this
We
was
really
great.
do
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having me.
And thank all of you for watching at home. We've got more coverage coming all week long here from Gen Con 2018. But signing off for now, I'm Matt. Have a good one, everyone.